Thank you so much, guys, for clicking to this channel. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Just show your boy some love. I'm on a road to 1,000 subscribers. If you like this video, just go ahead and click on the like button. Comment. Let me know what you think about the video that I'm doing right now. And also, if you feel free actually also to share this video with your friends. Okay. Now, today we're gonna talk about microservices, and we'll learn how to make two microservices communicate with each other. And there are a few ways on how you can make microservices to communicate. We can use REST template and we can use OpenFeign. But for this project, we're going to use OpenFeign because it's the best way on how you can make two microservices communicate. And this is what most people use when they are connecting two microservices. Okay. Now, OpenFeign uses Spring Cloud dependencies. It doesn't use Spring Boot. This is a Spring Cloud project. And OpenFeign is a project that was originally developed by Netflix and then moved to the open source community. Writing web services with the help of Feign client is very, very easy. Feign client is mostly used to consume REST APIs endpoints, which are exposed by third party or microservices. In this project, we have two microservices and we have customer and product. Okay. Now, if you want to learn how to create these two microservices, there is a project that I did on my last video. Just click on the link up here. It's going to direct you to, the course or the video that I did on showing how to create these two microservices that are under one parent module. Okay. So if you want to learn on how to do that, just go ahead and click that. This is just a continuation of the previous video that I was doing. Okay. Now, the objective of this course is to be able to connect these two microservices together. If I fetch customer ID, I need to see customer information plus the purchased product. Now look at this. If I fetch ID, I need to get customer's first name, last name, phone number, and then the product is phone, the price, the stock, and the product serial. So this is how your final project need to look like. Before moving to our IDE, let's look at the complete project structure for our microservices. Now, we have two microservices that are under one parent module. As you can see here, we have this parent module called Point Collection App. Now, this parent module has pom.xml, where we wrote some few dependencies, and these dependencies are shared with these two microservices that are under the parent folder here. Now, inside the Point Collection App, we have the first microservice, which is customer, and then the product. This is the second microservice. Okay. Now, if I click on the drop down arrows inside the customer microservice or customer modules, we have these packages, and this is the end product of what we need to be having at the end of this course. So we have configuration, we have control, we have customer repo, entity, Feign client, response, and services. Then we also have customer application and customer registration request. This is supposed to be the end product. So inside this folder here, Point Collection, this is our parent app. Okay. Now inside this parent app, we have two microservices, which we have customer and we also have product. Okay. Now in this parent module here, we have pom.xml. And if I click on pom.xml, we have these dependencies that are down here. And since we want to work with OpenFeign, so we're not going to use Spring Boot Spring Boot dependencies. No, we're gonna use Spring Cloud dependencies. So inside this dependency management, let's go ahead and add a new dependency called Spring Cloud dependency. Now, this is the Spring Cloud dependency here. The artifact ID is Spring Cloud dependencies. The group ID is org.springframework.cloud. That means this Spring Cloud comes from org.framework. Then we also have the version, which is here, Spring Cloud.version, and we're going to write it here. We're going to write the version inside this property here. That's where we're going to write our version. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that I will click enter, and then in here, I'm going to paste this, Spring Cloud version, which is Spring Cloud version. And this is the version of the Spring Cloud that I'm using. Okay. And now this is the Spring Cloud that I have here. Okay. The type is POM, and then the scope is import. Okay. Then once we do that, go ahead and add now the dependency that we're gonna add dependency known as OpenFeign. And we're going to go ahead and add OpenFeign as the dependency here. So this is Spring Cloud Starter OpenFeign. So this dependency here will be shared with these two microservices here. So this dependency here, these two microservices can be able to use this dependency here because it's inside our pom.xml, the parent module. Okay, so it's easy for us to use this dependency here in this module customer and also in this module called product. We don't have to go ahead and write OpenFeign dependency again inside customer and inside product. Once we write it here inside pom.xml, then it's easy for these two microservices here to use the dependency. You understand? Then after that, you click on this Maven here to reload the project. So once you do that, we just reload the project. So once we are done with our pom.xml, adding dependencies, let's go straight to our customer microservice. Click on the drop down arrows, and then we have this main package called com.wizardcode. Okay. And then inside this Java folder, go straight down to custom application. And this custom application is the main entrance point to our application, to our microservice. Okay. Now we have this class called custom application, and we see that we are annotated this with a Spring Boot application. Now I want us to go ahead and annotate this with that enable Fei clients. Okay. So once you're done doing that, the next thing we're going to do is to create an interface. So what we're going to do is that we're going to right click on com.wizardcode, right click, go to new, and then create a package. And this package name is going to be Feign, Feign, Fei clients. Okay. Or client. That's it. So click on enter. Now inside this Fei client, I want to create an interface, a Java class, but it's an interface, and I want to call this product. So I'm going to type product client, just like that. So I'm going to click on enter. So we have this interface called product client, and I want us to annotate this interface with @Fei client. So let's go ahead and annotate it with that Fei client. And inside this Fei client, we have what we call the name. Okay. And, which is equals to, we're going to pass a string in there. Then we also going to pass a URL in here. Okay. So for us to get the name and the URL, we have to go to this microservice called product. remember, we are using this interface to be able to like call the product microservice. So we're gonna get the name of our microservice, this product here name. So for us to do that, let's go straight to application.yaml file that is inside the product. This is the second microservice. So if I click on that, if I come to the Spring Boot application name, the name is product. So we're gonna use this name here. Okay, copy this name and go straight to back to our customer microservice and go straight to product client. And inside here we have the name, and then I want you to type product, or you can even go ahead and copy and paste. Okay, then this URL here, I'm gonna go ahead and paste the URL that I have, http /localhost, and then the URL is 8081. This microservice here called product is running on server port 8081. So that's why we are doing that. Then once we are done with that, the next thing we're gonna do is that go to our product and go to our controller. We need to check the endpoints, and these are the endpoints here. If I come to the request mapping, we have this path here, API v1 product. Okay, and then this is our get mapping here. So what I'm gonna do is that I'll copy this get mapping here, just copy, and then go straight to our product client. And then inside this interface here called product client, I'm gonna click on enter, and then I'm gonna paste that get mapping in here. Then I'm gonna paste the method here. There's a method that we're gonna paste here that helps us to like get product information using ID. So if I go straight again back to our product and go straight to like this control class here, so we have this method here called get product by customer ID. Understand? Is it by customer ID? Product by customer ID? Yep. So this is the product that actually, this is the name of the product. This is the name of the like the method. So we say like get product by customer ID. Okay, so what we're gonna do is that we'll copy this method here, just copy, and then go straight to customer microservice product client. Then I'm gonna paste this method here. So once I post this method, I'm just gonna use semicolon to like close the product. Okay, so I'm gonna, then over here I'm gonna just put a semicolon. That's it. Then we also need to copy the path here. Okay, so if I go back again to product, and then we have this request mapping path, which is API v1 product. So let's go ahead and copy this just like that. Just copy it, then go back to a product client and then paste the, sorry, it's a string, so paste the path here, then slash. Okay, and then if I go back again to product control, I have this ID here, slash ID. So get mapping for retrieving product information by customer ID. That's what we're doing here. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy that, then paste it here, just like that. So this is the path, okay, for getting product by custom ID. This is the ID here, okay, and then this is the name of the microservice, and then this is the URL, and the port is 8081. So our next step is gonna be creating customer response class. So for us to do that, let's go to the main package here called com.wizardcode, right click, go to package, create a package, and this package, I'm going to call it response, just like that. Do we have response? I think so. We have response class here. Look at that. So right click, go to new package, then we're gonna type response. Then click on enter. That's the name of the package. Then go straight and create a Java class. And this Java class, I wanna call it customer response. Just like that. Then click on enter. So in here, what we're gonna do is that we'll come to our customer entity here, this customer here, and then we're gonna go ahead and just copy these fields over here. So we have ID, first name, last name, phone number. Just copy this. Then I want you to go ahead and paste it inside our response here. So go click on enter. Then I'm going to paste this information here. So these are the fields that we have here. Then I'm going to go ahead and generate some getters and setters. So let's go ahead and generate some getters and setters. So we're going to say getters and setters. So let's copy the getters and setters. For the fields we have down here, click on OK. So this is our response class. So if I close the entity, we have this fake client. We are done with that. So response class. So we have customer response, and this is the fields that we have here. And then we have the getters and setters down here. Once we are done with customer response, so the next thing we're going to talk about is mappers. And it's very important for you to understand mappers because we're going to be using mappers in this project. So just to go straight on the main point, we have what we call model mappers. Okay. And model mapper is a Java library that simplifies the process of mapping one object to another. It is commonly used in Java applications, particularly in the context of data transfer between different layers of an application, such as mapping between domain, objects, and DTOs, data transfer system or data transfer system. So as we know, as you know, we are trying to transfer that data from one microservice to another. So we're going to be using model mapper. So the primary goal of model mapper is to automate the mapping of fields from one object to another, reducing the need for boilerplate code. It intelligently matches fields with similar names and types, and it can handle more complex scenarios such as nested objects and collections. So we're going to be using model mapper, okay, for us to help transfer data from one microservice to another. And for us to do that, we're going to go ahead and to connect two microservices and enhance data transfer between the two microservices, we are going to use what we call model mapper. What we have to do is to create a class called product config and put the below code in it. So that's what we're going to do right now. So what we're going to do is configuration. That's good. So I'm going to drop down that and go straight to configuration. Custom. So we're going to go straight to the main package com.wizardcode, right click, go to new, click on Java class, And then I want you to type customer. No, actually, before we do that, let's create a package. So now new package. And then this package, we're going to call it, configuration. So that's the name of our package. Then inside this package, new Java class, I want us to type customer. Then we're going to say config, just like that. Then click on enter. So once we have this class over here, what we're going to do is that we're going to annotate this with bin, just like that. Then we're going to write a class here and we're going to say public. So we're going to say public, then model mapper. Okay. Then we have the name down here, model mapper, brackets. Then inside this method here called model mapper, we're going to say it's going to return new, then model mapper, just like that. And then close using semicolon. Then up here, I want you to annotate this with primary. Then annotate this with also configuration. Yep. So we're going to say configuration. Okay. That's how we're going to annotate that. Then once we're done with that, let's go straight to our parent module, point collection app. Just go straight to pom.xml. Then you have to make sure that you have this dependency installed, artifact ID model mapper, and it comes from org.modelmapper, and the version is 3.1.1. So if I get rid of this, if I take this out, we're going to have an error. So if I reload and then go straight to like customer and go straight to configure, so we're going to have an error because the dependency is missing. And for us to do that, we need to go ahead and add this dependency here, just like that, and then reload. And once you reload, the error will disappear. Okay. So model mapper is important for our projects, and we're going to go ahead and use it, and it will help us like transfer data from customer all the way to product. Okay. Once we are done setting up customer config, let's go straight to controllers. So if I click on controller, we have this post mapping here, this HTTP post request for customer registration. It post request for customer registration. So what I want to do is that I want to write here get mapping that help us to get customer by ID. So I'm not going to go ahead and type the whole code, but I'm going to paste and then I'm going to go ahead and explain. So we are doing a get mapping, and we are doing HTTP request to request customer through ID. Okay, so through ID. So we create a method called get customer by ID, and then the path variable is ID, and this is long, and then ID. Okay, so customer response. This is this customer response. This class is the one that we have here. Customer response is the one that we have here. So we are creating a customer called we're creating a customer here, and then we're gonna send this customer into customer service so that we can be able to get customer by ID, and then we're gonna return response entity. Okay, and the status is supposed to be okay, and then the body is customer. So as you can see, we have this method that we want to create inside our customer services. So what I'm going to do is that I'll just go and create a method called get customer ID inside our customer service. So if I do that, then we have this method here called get customer by ID. So we are passing ID here. Then after that, inside here, we're going to say just optional, sorry. So we're going to say optional, and then we need customer from customer class. So we need customer, and then this customer, we are getting the customer from the database. So we are using customer repository dot find by ID, and then we're going to pass ID just like that. And then after that, we close. So what we're going to do here is that inside our class called customer service, what we're going to do is that we'll say private final, and then we're going to inject product client. So it's going to be product, sorry, I'm getting product. So we're going to do product client, which is here. Okay, so we're going to pass product client, and also we're also going to pass private. We're going to also pass model mapper, because we're going to be using mapper. Actually, we're going to be using this mapper in here, inside here, inside this method called get customer by ID. We're going to be using model mapper here. And what we're going to do is that this model, we're going to set the product response to customer response. So what we're going to do is that we'll be mapping the customer entity to a customer response using model mapper. So what we're going to do is that we're going to say customer response. Okay, then we're going to use mapper dot to map. What are we mapping? We are mapping customer. Okay, and then we are also doing a customer. We are also passing customer response dot class. Okay, that's it. Then once we do that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be using OpenFeign. But before we use OpenFeign, I just want to write a comment here so that it's going to be easy for you to remember. So what we're doing here is that let me write a comment here. So we are mapping the customer entity to a customer response using what we call model mapper. That's what we're doing. Okay. Then the next step, what we're going to do is that we are using now fake client, which is called our product client, to retrieve product information associated with the customer ID. So the next step we're going to do is our next step here. We are using a fake client to retrieve product information associated with the customer ID. And for us to do that, what we're going to do is that we're going to say response entity. Then here we're going to pass product response. We need to create this product response actually. So product response. Okay. We have to create that product response. But before that, let's just type product. Sorry. So we have product response. Okay. Is equals to product client dot get product by customer ID. And then we're going to pass the ID in there, just like that. Okay. But for us to make sure that this works, we need to create a product response inside our product microservice. Then after that, the next thing we're going to do is setting the product response in the customer response object. So that's what we're going to be doing next. I'm going to write a comment here. So what I'm going to do is just write a comment here. setting the product response in the customer response object. And for us to do that, we're going to say customer response dot set. Okay, dot set. What are we setting? Set product response okay, then here we are passing product response dot get body. Okay, then once we are done with that, we are going to return the final customer response, and this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to type some comments here. So we are returning our final customer response object, return, and then this is going to be customer response. So what we have to do is that we need to create a method inside our customer response. Set product response. Let's go straight to our product response. So we have this customer response over here. So what we have to do, we just need to say private, then product response. Okay. Then after that, we need to create getters and setters for this. Okay. And then click on OK. And yeah, that's it. So we have this method that has been created called set phone. No, where is it? It's somewhere up here. So we've created a method that is void called set product response. Okay, so if I go straight to my services, back to my services, receiving an error. Should I get rid of that? Yep. So if I go back again to my customer service, the error has disappeared. So basically what we have done is that we have created a method called get customer by ID. We are passing ID. Then this information here, this here, get find a customer by ID from the customer repository, from this here customer repository. Then after that, we are mapping the customer entity to customer response using the model mapper. That's what we're doing here. Then after that, we're using fake client now to retrieve product information associated with the customer ID. And this is what we are doing here. Okay. So this one is sending information to product response that is inside a product microservice. Then we also have setting product response in the customer response object, set product response. Okay. Then after that, we're returning our final customer response, which is customer response. Okay. So I think that's it from here. So next, we're going to go straight to our product. Before we work on product microservice, let's check the project structure. So this is the product here. So if I click on the drop down arrow, so we have this package called com.wizardcode, and in here we have this package called config. Then we have controller, then we have entity, then we have repository, then we have response, and then we have services, and then we have these two classes called product application and product registration request. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is just go ahead and work on that. Okay. So let's dive into our product microservice. Now, there's one thing that I want you to understand. We are done with customer. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and work on our product microservice, the second microservice. But what I did is that I went ahead and created these packages, as you can see them. So we have the config, we have control, we have entity, we have repository, we have response, and then we have service. So I went ahead and did this. But what I did is that I commented, I wrote some comments to each and every line of code, so that at least you can be able to understand what is happening. Okay, and then this code is in my GitHub, so you can actually feel free go through this project. It's inside my GitHub, and I've commented each and every line, so you can at least be able to understand. But what I'll do is that I'll take you through the codes actually, just to show you what I did. So the same thing we did with customer is what we are doing with product. So what I did is that I created a config package, and this is my config package. This class here is called product config. Okay, and this one I have a method called model mapper bin. Okay, now this is the same class as what we have in here. So we have our configuration here. Okay, but now we have this configuration inside our product. Then after that, if I click on controller, I have this get mapping, because we're gonna be getting customer by ID. So this method is used to handle request for product information by customer ID. Okay, then delegates the product retrieval logic to the product service. So we're sending this find product by customer ID in our product service. So we created a method inside our product service. Then after that, it will return a response entity with the product response and HTTP status saying it's okay. Okay, so if I dive deep into our product service, so let's go straight to our product service here. This is the service package that I created. So we have product service here. We have this method here that is called find product by customer ID. So method to find a product by customer ID and map the result to a product response object. Okay, now this line of code here retrieves a product from the repository based on the provided customer ID, and this is the customer ID. Understand? So it's gonna retrieve product from the repository based on the provided customer ID. So we have to, like, it's gonna send a request to product repository asking for the product. Okay, and that's what we did here. We came and injected a product repository. Okay, and this is the way actually you can get data from the database. Then after that, we did a mapping the product entity to a product response using the model mapper. So the model mapper that we have here, this config here that we created, is what we are using here. So we inject it inside our product service. So we have model mapper, and that is what we're gonna use down here, mapping the product entity to a product response using model mapper. So this is the line of code that does that function. Then at the end of the day, what we're gonna do is we return the final product response object, which we have here. Now this product response here, we have created a package for it. It's here. So this product response is we have ID, name, price, stock, and product serial. This information here, I got it from the entity. Okay, so I got it from this entity that is mapping. Actually, I got this entity that is like mapping this to our database. Okay, I got this. So what I did actually is that I got this information. So what I did is that I got this information here. Okay, this class here called product response. The fields that I got them here are the fields that are in my entity here. These fields here that are in my entity. Okay, then after that, what I did with product response, I went and did getters and setters, as you can see. Okay, getters and setters. Okay, then after doing this product repository, doing product response, I went straight to product repository, product repository, and here we are using query, okay, native SQL query to retrieve product information based on customer ID. Understand? So we have this query here, indicates that the native SQL query is being used when we're using native query, and we are putting it as true. We indicate that the native SQL query is being used. Understand? So then the method signature indicates a customer query to find a product by customer ID. Understand? Then at param annotation is used to map the method parameter to the named parameter in the SQL query. Okay, so this param here annotation is used to map the method parameter to the named parameter in our SQL query. So once you write this product repository, okay, then the remaining thing we have to do is just go ahead and test our product, okay, test our project. So what I'm gonna do is that I'll go ahead and run these two microservices. So make sure your Docker is up and running. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and start these two microservices just like that. So this is customer microservice. Then I'm gonna go ahead and start a product microservice just like that. So both of the microservices are running. So the next step I'm gonna do is that I'll use post mapping, and this post mapping, I'm gonna send some information inside my database and try to see if I can retrieve that information. So what I'm gonna do is that I will send a post mapping for the first name, last name, and phone number. This is customer information. So if I click on send, I'll have this status here, 200. Okay, that means that I've successfully managed to send this information inside my database. Then I'm also gonna go ahead and do that with product. So the product is phone, price, stock, and product serial. So if I click on send, 200 status, that means it's successful. Then what I'm gonna do is that I will try and retrieve like customer information. So let's say I'm looking for this customer and I need to know if what kind of product he has like purchased. So what I'm gonna do is I'll say just product, like customer with ID 1. I'm gonna write it here. Then I'm gonna change this to get mapping. Then I'll click on send, and as you can see, we have ID 1, which is this one here. Okay, first name, last name, phone number, and now the product that this person here has purchased. Okay, so we have successfully managed to connect our project, our microservices together. And if you have any question, please, you can just send me a message or just write a comment down here, and I'll try to answer your question. Or what you can do is that you can go to my GitHub. The link is down there. Click on it and then try to go through this code and see if you can be able to understand. This project will be inside my GitHub. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you later.